Bugs in that time.
What up, y'all? Welcome to the Superhero Cuts podcast. This is where we talk about things Marvel, DC, and Star Wars. It's your boy Stevie Hayes, obviously joined by my counterpart Jerry. My guy, how are you doing today, bro?
I'm good, man. I told you, I wish I killed these flies. I got to get one of those salt. I hate bugs, man.
It's all good, bro. It's all good. No,
Take
dude,
it from here.
I got a new couch yesterday, and the people that assembled it, they left the freaking door open. So I
Oh,
killed a bunch of. I've been killing flies all last night, bro. I was heated,
how
bro.
do you kill them?
Just with like a fly swatter, like
Oh,
yeah.
that's what I gotta get.
Yeah, it's a little fly swatter. Poop, they're dead. Or my shoes, I just bang them with my shoes.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm
I,
gonna
I
try.
I was getting pissed off. Yeah, because they just everywhere and they be flying over your head. It makes you feel
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
he
Yeah,
was flying on my TV last night, and
really.
that pissed me off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro. Oh yeah. And my cat hates bugs, so she's like all into it, which it just makes everything worse, bro.
yeah.
So
Oh
all right,
man, that's
let's
funny.
get to so don't worry, guys. For all the people that are look, we're gonna talk about Agatha. Don't worry. We will.
We got
We
a
know
lot to
that
say.
for Acolyte, we kind of avoided it, but as content creators, as coverers of this stuff, we're going to cover it, and we're going to say what we have to say and leave our piece be. So,
No,
yeah, we will get to that. But right
and
now,
just
we are.
know, we are not excited for Agatha. So we are watching this for you. So we're watching it so you don't have to.
Yeah, right. And look, and you guys know I'm a big Wanda fan, and this just killed my vibe. Like this killed my vibe entirely. And reading the reviews for the show really kind of showed me what we're going to get in these first two episodes. So yeah, it's going to be a very least to say it's going to be a very interesting time. So let me just check. Let me just check, guys, to make sure that we're live on X because it's not showing. Let me see. Okay, we are live on X. Good. It's not popping up on here. All right. Let's get into the first topic of the night, which is it time for Miles Morales to be in the live action? So there was an article that came out today. Jerry sent it over to me, which made me laugh. You know what I mean? Not even gonna hold you because I don't know, Amy Pascal, I don't know, she's just funny to me. I don't know why, but just to give you guys some quick background. So obviously Amy Pascal has talked about, that they want and that they're working on a story to bring Miles Morales into the live action. And I think this is a very big thing. Now, I have read some comments on Jerry. So I did read some comments on that post just to see, just people's temperatures about Miles coming into the live action. And to be honest, bro, there was a lot of negative comments saying that, they don't basically that they don't want Miles Morales to touch live action, and that they like Miles Morales being, just the animated version of him. And a lot of them think that Miles Morales would be ruined if they, went their route. So, what would your answer be to people that are kind of afraid that Miles Morales could possibly be ruined because of the, because they might not cast like the exact lookalike of Miles from the Spider-Verse films?
It's silly. And it reminds me of the launch of the Yeezy Boost 350 in 2015. When it first came out, people were like, oh, those are ugly, or, and all of a sudden you see it being styled well on someone else. And then they're like, oh, so that's how you wear it. And they'll never say, oh, now I understand it because it was broken down by someone who has a smarter fashion sense than me. What they'll say is, yeah, they're growing on me, and you just know that you didn't see the vision. And I think that's what a lot of these comments are. Listen, it's not going to be a one-to-one. I'm not here to tell you that the live action actor is going to be the exact same, carbon copy of Miles Morales from the Spider-Verse. But what I will say is I think when Marvel does it, they know how important this character is. And because of that, I believe, and I've been saying that they're going to do this exactly this way for a long time. So taking a victory lap, that's kind of why I give the W with the wings. You know,
You've been pissing me off on Instagram.
oh,
Dude.
you're going to get cooked. Hold on. I think that fans are going to be satisfied and happy with the live action debut for Miles Morales. I think Marvel's going to make it really special. I hope they don't do it in Spider-Man 4. I hope they do it in Secret Wars. Remember, or maybe you're not familiar, but Miles Morales was an alternate universe character to begin with. And in the comics, how he came over to the 616, which is the main comics universe, was through Secret Wars. So it is literally the perfect opportunity to do it. And I just think it's too important. There's too much money riding on it for them, A, not to do it, B, not to do it as perfectly as they possibly could.
Now, I hate that I'm about to cape for Sony at the moment. And
there's a lot of things to cape for Sony for this past week, bro.
Yeah, I have been. And so before I say this positive comment, I still have my gripes with Sony, but I'm going to be consistent, and I have to give Sony props. They've never missed a Spider-Man casting. They've never missed a Spider-Man casting. I mean, and that's just facts. Andrew was amazing. Toby is great. Tom Holland is great. So I have faith that they'll find the right Miles Morales and holding on to. And look, the animated show is beautiful. It's amazing, but you literally can't compare a made up character as in looks and stuff to fit, a human being entirely, because in that case, then Chris Evans would be out of the picture because he looks nothing like Steve Rogers in the comic books, right? Like even ScarJo, she looks nothing like Natasha in the freaking comics. Natasha in the comics is way more of a Russian vibe type of chick than what we've seen in the live action. So you have to give that grace for Miles. But
January Jones doesn't really look like Emma Frost, but 100%. Everyone was happy with January Jones because she's beautiful and she looked great. Yeah, not that she has to be beautiful, but she was.
Even McAvoy doesn't look like Professor X in the comics, but it fits, right? So, acting ability matters as well. Okay, so let's give grace in that area.
You know who doesn't look like Kang? It's Jonathan Majors, but everybody loved Jonathan Majors as Kang.
Sorry, my cat was like scratching the door. You're right. And same for Pedro. Pedro looks nothing like Reed, okay?
Yeah,
and he got casted as
mustache.
Huh?
They should shave the mustache. God. It literally takes 2 seconds. I could shave my mustache and come back on the show right now, okay? That's how fit.
Do it then. Do it. I'm kidding.
Fix.
You know what I said? I said, do it. I'm kidding. No. Oh my God, that'd be funny. Yo, what if you actually got off the show to shave your stash? That'd be hilarious.
I should do it and just the stash and go into work tomorrow.
Yeah, yo, and then
like an inverse goatee.
Yeah, and then just tag Marvel like 20 times in the clip and tag Pedro. Shave it, bro. Yeah, bro. And the thing that I don't like about you, Jerry, is that when you like the things that you harp on, like if he does keep the stash in the freaking movie, it's gonna be in my mind the whole film because you keep talking about it. So now I'm gonna be watching it. I'm like, Jerry's gonna be complaining about this mustache, man. Because
it's just especially for a casting like his, it really matters because he doesn't look like the part. There's already people that are upset with it. Why not just do the easy fix? There's literally not one good reason you could answer that question with.
We got a comment. We'll see. But yeah, look, back to the Miles thing. Look, I do think I think that the time is coming. I don't think that the time is now for Miles to come to the live action. I do agree, bro, that Secret Wars is the perfect setup to bring in Miles Morales. And, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, or we are. But, I think bringing in Null is also a part of this master plan that I think they're trying to cook, which as I said, we're going to touch on all that later on in the show. But let's hear this chat from Hungry Almighty. Do you guys think using the multiverse to bring in Miles, the X-Men reboot and the rebooted Avengers is considered lazy? I have a friend who thinks it is super lazy when we were discussing the future of the MCU. Jerry, I'll let you go first on how you feel about that.
It's lazy, but some of it's exciting and some of it feels redundant. So And I already think they're doing it with the X-Men because of the post-credit scene from the Marvels, seeing Beast in a different universe. So, and the other mutants that we've seen, pretty much most of the mutants, all the mutants we've seen in the MCU have been in other universes so far, in Deadpool and Wolverine and the post-credit from the Marvels. So I am fully confident that the other mutants are going to come from the alternate universes. There's one other way they could kind of get away with it, but I don't think it's the right thing to do. At least that I think of is you could kind of say, oh, they were hiding out in Krakoa. And I'm sure there's people that don't read comics and they're going to say they've heard about Krakoa and they could be like, they were hiding out in Krakoa. Krakoa is not like Wakanda. It's not like a nation that people didn't know existed.
Can you just explain that?
Yeah. So Krakoa is a nation state that the mutants formed in I think it was around 2019, 2020, and they made their own nation state and they brought in everyone. I mean, they even made cool with Apocalypse. So the idea was that it's 4 mutants. Everyone starts with a fresh slate as long as they adhere to their version of the Constitution. But what they also did was they made their own medicines and they took advantage of these medicines. And I forget the details of the medicines, but they were like cancer curing level medicines that the whole world was immediately desperate for. And the mutants took advantage of that. They're like, listen, you are going to respect our nation. You're going to respect our way of doing things. And no one kills a mutant. No one has any laws over any mutants. You've pushed us around forever. And now we have our own nation. We have the power. And it was actually sick. So my point is, in telling you this, is the problem with anyone saying that, oh, well, they could just be hiding out in Krakoa. Krakoa was not hidden. Krakoa is not hidden. They fully were planting our flag.
Yeah,
we're
that
here.
was the point of being in the open.
Yeah. Bleep. Yeah. So yeah. And it was mainly formed by Professor X and Magneto. And one of the things I love about Magneto is he's not humble.
Agreed. So, I do not think that it is lazy. Because I mean, we've gotten new Spider-Man, we've gotten new Batman, and no one says anything. We just know that a new project is starting. I am viewing these things as the same thing. We're just getting we are still going to get a new era of heroes. We're just getting an explanation of how they got here. It is a little more different than starting a new Batman franchise or anything like that, because they're trying to integrate these heroes into the new universe or into their current MCU universe, because of the fact that that they just bought the rights super late when they started. So you have to, it might be cheesy and it might be cringe, but we can't focus on how they get there. We need to focus on when they get there and the fact that they are there. So I don't really care about how they get there. I just want them there. I want an active MCU timeline with the Spider-Man, with the X-Men, with the Fantastic Four. And when they're all there, I really don't care. And I honestly don't think fans are going to care.
And I respect that. But that does sound to me like you do agree that it's lazy, but you're just happy to get the characters and you don't really care.
Well, so I think it's a simplified version, and I think that if they try to do any other way, it will be too confusing. And I just think that the multiverse is a easy element that the grand scheme of all fans can understand. I feel like sometimes we can overanalyze how things can happen, and I mean, Jerry, you know me, bro. You and I have talked about how this can happen 1,000 ways over, and every other theory I've wrote, everything that you and I have talked about, it just comes off as too confusing. So I think you gotta simplify it so fans can understand, and then you just push forward. Because I do think that like once this multiverse trip happens and everyone's here, I don't think they're going to talk about this ever again. You know what I mean? I like,
Yeah.
and honestly, I think that I think that they should not, bro, because you got to treat this as this is the new universe, like, and you got to just go and run with it.
The other issue I have with them, because I do think to an extent it's lazy. I also think that the problem is, like you said, is I disagree that it is like I forget exactly what you said, so I'm not going to say I disagree, but I think there was something you said that I remembered. I didn't necessarily agree with all of it, but the problem I have with the multiverse being the reason is that everything's multiverse right now, and not even just Marvel. It's multiverse in Spider-Verse. It's been multiverse in DC. It's multiverse in DC Comics. It's multiverse in Marvel Comics. It's multiverse in the MCU. And I think the MCU is one of the worst versions of the multiverse, which is crazy to say. I think the MCU is the greatest universe we have, but I think that they've done the worst with the multiverse concept. I would like to see them come up with a better reason. And I think if they tap writers like Jonathan Hickman or Chip Zdarsky, they have so many people that are brilliant creators that could easily come up with something cooler than the multiverse. And I just think there's so many times, like there's only so many times you could do that. We know they're going to do it with the Fantastic Four. And when they bring in the X-Men, like, make it special. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, I just, I think from the aspect of like, Marvel tried that they've been here all along, and that was the freaking Eternals, and people hated it, and then, and so then they try another thing, bring them in through the multiverse, and now everybody, a lot of fans hate that. So, I mean, at this point, like, just get them in. Like that's just kind of where I'm at this point. And I mean, we're in the multiverse saga. I like it, and I think that you can still make it super special, even though it's the multiverse that is uh bringing them over. Because I think Doctor Doom crossing over is going to be a special moment. I really do. I mean, I think the fact that the second he steps into the MCU 616 in Doomsday, it's going to be wild, bro. So I think that there's ways that they're going to be able to do it. And I see it very similar to like Portals is like probably a top 3 greatest scene in MCU history, right? Like, so there's a way to do it on a grander scale.
I'm gonna save my breakdown on this for Agatha, but I do want to let listeners know or viewers that we are going to be talking about the rumor. There's a rumor going around that Marvel cut Doctor Doom from Agatha. People are complaining about it who seem like they're not into Agatha. I'm not into Agatha. I think it was the right move. Yeah. I'm not going to tell you why
but
now.
There is someone else that is in there, which I
stick around. My point is, stick around. We're going to get into it. Stevie obviously has another character that I'm not aware of, so that'll be interesting. I'll hear it for the first time with you too.
All right, let's hear this. I get that people say it's hard. Bro, of course, when we're recording, someone just commented on our Spider-Man 4 video. So we'll respond to that in a second. This is funny how we're doing this if people are commenting. I get that people say it's hard to bring in mutants and X-Men because you can't just come out and say they have been here the whole time, but I wish Marvel challenged themselves rather than the multiverse. Yeah, I just don't agree, man. I just think it's too complicated. Let's see what the next chat is. Honestly, at this point, as long as we finally have the 4 pillars of Marvel, Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, all in one universe, then it's whatever. See, that's kind of how I feel. So, all right. Now, let me, Jerry, I'm gonna read you the Spider-Man comment from the video that we did, or what was it, me or what was it? Me
All right, cool. I was just going on YouTube.
Okay. Okay. So basically, the topic of the video was Spider-Man 4 being multiversal is a good thing. And the comment was, fans want a street level Spider-Man movie. Kingpin will likely make vigilantes illegal and Daredevil born again. And we want a similar, we want a smaller scale story where Spidey and Daredevil have to deal with that. there's still so many fresh ideas you can do with a more street level Spidey film. On top of that, we still haven't gotten Black Cat. Would like to see her introduced.
You know, what's crazy about this comment is, first of all, I agree with him. I want a street level, smaller scale Spider-Man movie that has like all of New York in it. I'm a New Yorker. I love Spider-Man. I like classic Spider-Man. I like I've said before, I understand why we're not getting a street level Spider-Man movie. And the reason is because they need Spider-Man's the biggest character, and this is taking place probably between Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. And if it's not, it's going to be just before Doomsday. So they need the bigger flagship movies to drive the main narrative and story forward. Now, what's also interesting to me, and I'm noticing a lot of this lately, and listen, I agree with pretty much everything that comment said. But it's interesting to me that he didn't say the Devil's Reign story. And why that's interesting to me is that it means A, he doesn't read comics. And if he doesn't read comics, you know, which I don't like when people who don't read comics make like I don't have a problem with this comment, but it I don't like the people who don't read comics who are like, "Oh, we need a Mr. Freeze Batman movie." Like, shut the hell up. If you don't read comics, like you have no right to say who you think should be the Batman villain because you know nothing about Batman villains. And but the thing is that he just read this from someone else, and it's like it's crazy how ideas could catch on social media, and you have people who've never read Devil's Reign who are asking for Devil's Reign stories, and it just means that listen, people's words out there are powerful, and when they catch on, sometimes they catch on for good reasons, sometimes they don't. But it's interesting to me that someone who never read comics is like asking for the Devil's Reign story and doesn't know it's the Devil's Reign story. But I agree with Devil's Reign. It's incredible. If you're looking for a comic recommendation and you're looking for like a Spider-Man street level story that's like a larger event with a lot of other characters like Daredevil and more, that's the one to get into. And it's written by Chip Zdarsky, who I mentioned before, who I think Marvel could tap for a better way to bring in characters than the multiverse.
Yeah. And Jerry and I have talked about this, or no, well, not well, Jerry and I have kind of talked about this offline. Um, you know, a couple facts that we have faced, when it comes to Spider-Man is that he is needed as a grand character right now. The MCU needs him to be the guy. You know what I mean? Like he's one of the guys. And if this is true, where this Spider-Man movie is happening in between, Doomsday and Secret Wars, why would it be a street level film? Like I mean, this is your cash cow. This is your biggest seller. Like this is like if they put Iron Man 3 in between what is it? In Infinity War and Endgame. Like Iron Man 3 would not have been about freaking the army and armor. No, it would have been about space. You know what I'm saying? So, you have to like um a thing that isn't talked about enough. And if you don't watch movies and if you don't like know a lot about film, there's a thing called context, right? And so Marvel makes their movies based on the context of what's going on in the universe, and someone pointed out something to me as well. A lot of people view Far From Home as a street level film. A lot of people view that as like not like a grander scheme film. And I saw some people say on X that they feel like, Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home were both two street level films. And a lot of people put No Way Home as a street level film as well, because Spider-Man doesn't really leave anywhere but New York. So from a certain perspective, Spider-Man has kind of been close to the ground in all three of his solo films. So I don't really see why people to an extent are tripping as much as they are. So,
and that's why I say I want a New York based Spider-Man's New York World movie, because no one, and me and Stevie went back and forth on this. Everyone has a different definition of what street level and grounded are. And until there's like an actual definition that the entire fandom understands, things are going to be lost in communication. You're mute.
1,000%, 1,000%, bro. And and so don't like from a fan to another fan. When you don't like something, you don't got to be so absolute about it. Like I have my quarrels with with the Dark Knight, right? Like I have my quarrels, but I cannot say that it's not great. Like I just can't, right? Now I can have and look, some of you guys might get mad. Look, I troll a lot, Jerry and I banter. I always say that the Dark Knight sucks. I think it sucks to a degree, but for me to say like from a grander scheme of fandom is bad, I will look dumb, right?
He knows it's a great movie, but he doesn't like it.
Exactly. Like The Dark Knight is a greatness. I can't deny that, but I don't like it. So when you guys are talking about, so when you guys talk about Spider-Man is in street level. No, you just the last 3 Spider-Man films were low-key street level films. It just wasn't the way you wanted,
it didn't feel like Spider-Man 2, Sam Raimi, which was
exactly.
like Spider-Man's world, Aunt May, Mary Jane, why am I blank? Harry Osborn, those kinds of things where it's like, and it's based on someone who's a scientist. Like I always say, Marvel, heavy sci-fi. That's like their whole thing. And Peter's entire world is based on newspapers, photography, and mainly science. That's how he knows Norman Osborn. That's how he knows Doc Ock. That's how he knows why do I keep blanking on the names? The Lizard, like all of them. They're all science people.
Yeah. By the way, I want to clip the crap out of that. That's a great point. We just cooked on that. I haven't heard anyone say that at all. So that is just from one fan to another. And Jared and I have really like calmed down on the absolute stuff because some stuff you just like, and it's fine to just like something. So yeah. Let's see. This is the biggest problem with our fandom. They never look at the bigger picture. The whole this whole Spider-Man street thing is a prime example. James Gunn getting rid of Henry Cavill, recasting exactly, bro. And bro, that is the thing. People looked at James Gunn not bringing back Henry Cavill as a personal thing. It was never personal. If you guys actually worked in business, you would have understood why James Gunn made that decision to cast 10 years younger. You know what I'm saying? So like y'all really
don't want to bring in baggage when you have the option to abandon the baggage. Okay,
exactly.
Like
Zaslav gave him the green light. I mean, bro, imagine if Feige brought back the whole entire let's just say theoretically speaking, right? Let's just that is like Feige restarting the MCU with all the old Fox actors. Like people wouldn't watch it, bro. Like
I disagree. It's way worse. It's way worse.
What?
As much as that would be stupid, like whether you like Henry Cavill as Superman and Zack Snyder's DCEU or in the Snyderverse or not, the one thing that's like, there's certain things that are like undeniable. Like when people are like, oh, well, I like Brie Larson because I like her politics. Like you also can't deny what she said was divisive. And you also can't deny that there's baggage to Henry Cavill's Superman.
Yep.
It's polarized the fandom for years. There's a ton of super passionate and super annoying Snyder fans. And like James Gunn is starting from a fresh slate. And he has the option to do something new. And also, I don't think Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers, wanted Henry Cavill because they don't want the baggage. If you have the option to not have a problem in business, you take the option without the damn problem. It's simple.
Exactly.
And if you don't understand it, you're just being stubborn or you're stupid. It's one of the two. It's one of the two. Like, I'm sorry, I work in business. I have a career in financial services. And like, anytime I'm advising a company and like, I work with companies and a lot of times they're, employees and some of them have problems and that they cause a lot of problems for the business. And it's like, I don't like doing it, but sometimes it's like, listen, this guy, all the problems you have, a lot of them would be significantly lesser if you let go of this employee.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't want to do it. And it's like, I don't want to get into it because I don't really want to get into exactly what I do. But I can tell you, it's like every time number one, they've done something where they're in a situation and of their own doing, of their own choices. And it's like, it's a business. You don't want problems in business.
Exactly.
It's like the name of the game.
And this is the thing, because I don't want to say people are stupid, but they're uneducated and Jerry, and they lack perspective. You know what I mean? And look, comic book movies is not just all about the content. It's also a business too. You know, there are also certain business things that have to happen on the back end. And you know, a lot of people kill James Gunn for what he did. And shout out to Henry Cavill, because he handled it like a classy man, like the classy man he is, and he handled it in grace. And he gave James Gunn the green light, saying, "I agree." And he said that. And that's the other wild part, is that Henry Cavill didn't come out and bash James Gunn for what he did. So how does that give a lot of fans the green light to do what he did not do?
Yeah. Also, on the note of perspective, one thing that bothers me about this is something that bothers me about people immediately.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you are only capable of viewing things from your own perspective, you are closed-minded and stubborn, and you're going to have a lot of problems in life. Like, that is like, I feel like life 101. If you don't know how to think in somebody else's shoes, it's like, don't even give your opinion on anything. Seriously.
100%. And that's a name of covering this stuff. Like, Jerry and I, we have to look at every single angle. You know what I mean? Like, we're not just looking through, because I promise you, if we talked about how we truly like
we give our real takes.
No. I said only. I said if we only said things from our perspective, you guys would we would be just like everybody else. You know what I mean? But we look at a bunch of different perspectives, which helps form our take to be very not biased. I mean, we give very general takes because we try to see all sides of the table, because we're very realistic, and a lot of fans just aren't realistic about, you know, certain properties and stuff like that. And that's the kind of takes that we try to give. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, all right, I'm gonna read this last chat, and we're gonna get to the next topic.
And by the way, the people who can't do that and they find themselves saying, "Oh, I think X, Y, and Z is going to happen." Like, some people have the most intricate predictions of like they'll say all these different variables are going to happen and take place. Like, that's a fan theory that you want to happen. Stop saying it's what you think is going to happen, because there's a big difference.
Exactly. And just be real about it. Because I'm that guy, but at least I say I would love for this to happen. You know,
I'm talking about others who literally will write, like, I've sent you them on Twitter, and it's like, this and this is going to happen. It's like,
the Snyderverse is getting sold to Netflix.
And by the way, if you are like 40 years old and up, and you are trying to flex that you get like a scoop early, like, you need to grow up. Okay.
Come on, man. Yeah.
And I know I'm not young, but I'm not out here like flexing that I get inside. I don't get inside information, but if I did, I certainly wouldn't be showing off about it. And sometimes I do get inside access or things to some, you know, special things, not just in this life, but when I do, I keep my mouth shut. And I'm not humble, but I don't flex about corny stuff.
Exactly. All right. To be honest, street level grounded, I use interchangeably. I consider Captain America the Winter Soldier grounded. Street level, same with Homecoming, Batman, Brave and the Bold will be street level. Yeah. And another word,
everything except for Batman, Brave and the Bold. I don't think that is going to be a grounded movie.
Well, your word is fantastical.
Yeah, fantastical isn't street level or grounded. Here's the thing with Batman, okay?
All right. I don't want to go down this road.
Real quick.
Go ahead. All right, go ahead.
I love the grounded takes on Batman, okay? And I think everyone does. But in the past week or so, it seems like everyone and their mother, except for us and Hungry Almighty, is like, oh, well, you know, Batman's been too realistic in movies. Okay, you love the Dark Knight trilogy when it came out. You loved the Batman when it came out. And now that everyone's realizing that we're finally going to get a fantastical Batman, you got to hate on what we had before. What we had and have, because the Batman is great. It's awesome, but it is time for a fantastical version of Batman with the Bat family and all that comes with it. I just think that they've done the realistic thing on Batman the past 2 times. And I think that to make it different, especially in the DCU, which is obviously going to have to go fantastical with characters like the Green Lantern, I just think it's the perfect time to do it. So I think that's what they're going to do.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Also, the Lazarus Pit is a big thing with Damian Wayne's family.
Exactly. Like a good if you want to watch a show that's fantastical, watch Arrow. Arrow is such a good show if you want to watch a DC fantastical like project. It's both. It's literally both a street. It starts off very street and then it leans into that fantastical side in the seasons to go. Like Arrow, and we're gonna talk about this at the end of the episode because people be disrespecting Arrow, and we are gonna claim Arrow. Okay. Anyways, okay. So to get on to the next topic, Josh Brolin, he declined the role for Hal Jordan. So Jerry, obviously last week or 2 weeks ago, we broke down this whole Green Lantern thing. As you probably being the biggest Green Lantern stan on YouTube, how do you feel about Josh declining the role for Hal Jordan?
I actually don't have such strong feelings on it because I was surprised that he got the offer. He wouldn't have been my first, second, third, or fourth choice. But I think the guy is a very talented actor. And I think if he were offered the role, I think he was probably offered it for good reason. And, he declined it. And like I said, I think they're better actors anyway. So no harm, no foul. It's fine. I like him. I think that, I don't like fan castings because I think they get corny. I think the corniest people love them. So automatically I don't like them. But, I do think some of the fan castings for this role are actually pretty good. Like, I do think Glenn Powell is just obvious. I mean, everyone seems to be like obsessed with the guy right now. Women love him. And, so people. And Chris Pine. I really like Chris Pine. I think that the Star Trek movies he did are super underrated. Yeah. And I think it's difficult to make quality Star Trek content just because it is such an agenda-driven property. Like, I don't know if you saw what they did with.
No, don't worry. I saw it, brother. I saw it. Never again.
I stopped watching. Yeah.
I'm done.
Anyway, but they did a great job. That dude is an amazing actor, and I always felt like he doesn't get the credit that he should. And I think that a role like this would make him the A-list actor that he deserves to be.
Yeah. And Chris Pine just fits he fits the
mold.
He fits the mold for a pilot guy. He just looks like a pilot. Like, you know what I mean? He has that. And Wonder Woman, bro, he was so good in that movie. Oh my goodness.
And he was also
amazing in Wonder Woman. Oh man.
He was great as Captain Kirk, and Captain Kirk has a lot in common with Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
Like that cocky captain pilot, like there's a lot in common. And but he also played the like noble warrior, which is like that's Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan is the cocky jock who's a pilot, but at the same time, when it's time to get serious, he's really good at that too.
Yeah, exactly. And Chris Pine has always played similar roles to that. You know what I mean? Like he's always been like teetering in that Hal Jordan person, like person now. And I like him as a person as well. Like I actually saw this interview that he did basically where he went to his favorite food spots in Los Angeles. Like he's a very he's a foodie, which I love food, but he's actually super down to earth guy, like outside of his acting roles. And we need that kind of professionalism back in our
especially because when a lot of these actors do press, they've been doing a lot of damage.
Yeah,
we're gonna get into that on Agatha.
Yeah, because I mean, and I sent you clips last week of like I think it was Patrick Mahomes and like Usher, right? Like we need more of those, guys who were able to like keep the main thing,
Yeah.
and I think that bringing in people like Chris Pine and those professionals who were bred from that era, of just professionalism. I
Yeah.
think that that's going to help the DC a lot, and it also elevates guys like Corn Sweat. It also elevates those guys because now they have a mentor in the game. That they can
Yeah.
look up to. So
I do think it's cool though that for Superman, and it seems pretty obvious that Superman's going to be like the number one, like the Iron Man. Even though he's never going to be my number one because but whatever. I still love Superman, but I'll always love Batman more. I'll always love Green Lantern more. But it's cool that their number one is a lesser known talent. I really appreciate that. And I hope we see more like that.
yeah, I actually really like. I dug on Corn Sweat's like Instagram. He seems like a great guy as well.
Yeah.
Married man, super super low key. I mean, those are kind of guys we need.
Yeah.
Let's see. Apparently, Matthew McConaughey declined as well, and it's now between Ewan McGregor, Chris Pine, and Timothy Oliphant. I'll either take Chris or
Oliphant.
Timothy. I don't know about Ewan. Yeah, I need Ewan to stay as
Timothy
Obi-Wan.
Oliphant, I love. If you ever you should watch Deadwood. It's one of the greatest TV shows of all time.
Deadwood?
Deadwood,
Check
HBO.
it
It's
out.
a Wild West show. I used to watch it with my dad and my best friend Mark, who sadly passed to cancer a couple of years ago. But we used to watch it every day. We would get home from school. My dad later would come home from work, and we would watch that show for hours, literally every single day. It was incredible.
Yeah. Ewan, man, like, look, Ewan just needs to stick to Obi-Wan. I think that Star Wars needs him more than James Gunn does.
Yeah, and
Like,
the problem,
I don't see it.
and that's why one of the reasons I like lesser known talents. It's like you can't use someone like Ewan, I think, who is really most of us really only know him from Obi-Wan, and that's like it's just such a big character. He's so
It's him.
typecasted. It's
It's
like
him.
you're not going to be able to break him for the larger audience. There's too many fans that are never going to see him as anything other than Obi-Wan.
Yeah. It like same thing with Hayden, bro. Hayden's Anakin, bro. There's no changing that. Like, it's just
Yeah.
it is what it is.
That's the big problem with being type. And I can't stand the typecast mentality, but you make it worse when you're really only known for one role.
And to be honest, it's honestly hurt Hayden's career as well with trying to do other things because
Yeah,
he's Anakin.
I
Like, there's no other way around it, Let's see. Ewan as how is basically all right. Chill with the Pedro Pascal. Chill with that, yo. Oh God, not the Pedro. Not the Pedro. I forget the word I'm about to say. The Pedro Stray. Yeah, the Pedro Stray. Oh gosh, Hungry Almighty, man. When are you gonna take my side, Hungry man? Come on, man. Yo, I hope that Pedro cooks, man, because if Pedro cooks, I'm buying a fake mustache, and it's gonna be a field day. If he lands it well, just watch. All right, now I'm gonna get into this second topic here. So the Batman will be another murder mystery movie. So I want to read this excerpt about the news that we have so far about the Batman. So Matt Reeves says they're working on the Batman 2 script every day. They've given big portions to DC already, which obviously is big news. They start filming in the first half of next year. It will be another murder mystery. And lastly, he said, they are getting really close to, finishing everything and getting ready. So I have seen some comments on Instagram and on X that I wanted to talk to you guys about, because a lot of people feel a way that this is another murder mystery. Now, that news does shock me because I felt like, the first Batman film was more of it was a detective murder mystery film, but I thought it was awesome, and I thought that it was just just super cool the way that the Batman was, because number one, we barely get any Bruce Wayne in that first film, right? And Batman is in the suit 90% of the time. He's at crime scenes. He has his tech out. He's taking pictures with his eyes. I think it's super awesome. And it just shocked me that a lot of fans were like, why are we getting another murder mystery Batman film? So, Jerry, does that shock you that fans are like, like that some fans are mad about that?
I don't understand this. I think a lot of people are like starting to turn on both the Batman and the Dark Knight, like I said before, which is stupid. Because when this movie came out, everyone loved it. And like the entire story was driven by a murder mystery, like the entire thing. So if you love the Batman, number one, how did you expect the second one to not continue that? Uh, it's like it's a crime thriller, and I don't know. I want more of that. I think it's going to be awesome, and I think people who are complaining about it are going to love it.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
I also think it's like kind of like social media. I think there's a lot of people that like see other people's opinions and like adopt them, and they don't really believe them, or they don't know what they want. They don't know what they believe. We just have a bunch of morons. And I'm not saying everyone's morons, and I'm not saying my fans are morons, but I am saying there are a lot of people on X who are morons, and they don't know that they're morons, and they sometimes try to have conversations with other people, and then they find out what real intelligence is. So I think the Batman Part 2, it's definitely going to be a crime story. If you're complaining about it, it's silly because you're probably going to love the movie anyway, especially if it is going to be The Court of Owls or even Hush. I got to put something to bed. So there's a lot of people that are saying, oh, well, it's in winter. So obviously that means it's Mr. Freeze. I don't know if you're aware, you might not read the comics. I get it. But Mr. Freeze, he's Mr. Freeze all year round. He's not a seasonal villain. So,
Yeah.
it could take place in June and potentially have Mr. Freeze. But the reasons it's not going to have Mr. Freeze, number one, Mr. Freeze is the worst villain. He's boring, and Matt Reeves is smarter than to use him. But number two, they're hinting they've said two things. They've said that they want the movie to feel like it could exist in the real world. Do you really think a guy that walks around in a suit that keeps him frozen and has his girlfriend frozen, it could exist in the real world? Does that sound realistic to you? And number two, they're saying it's going to be a continued it's the Batman epic crime saga, and it's involves mystery, murder, and crime. That doesn't sound like Mr. Freeze at all. Mr. Freeze is not a murder, a mysterious killer. So it sounds a lot like it could be the Court of Owls. It sounds like it might be Hush. Not that they're always necessarily, mysterious killers, but much more so than Mr. Freeze. And he did say that like I forget exactly what Matt Reeves said recently, but there was something he said recently that everyone thought it sounded like Court of Owls. And then 2 weeks later, they announced that the Batman Part 2 will take place in winter, and a bunch of clowns online were like, oh, well, it's winter, so that means it's Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze isn't a seasonal villain. Let me know when you find out about a seasonal villain, though. Mr. Freeze only one story, and that is getting his wife back. That's why I call him a one-trick pony. Continued, but I will give credit to the 2004, the Batman animated show. They made his story very different from what we usually know of Freeze. It is interesting that anytime someone references a Mr. Freeze story that they say is good, it always comes from animated shows.
Because, bro, Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero is fire.
I had that VHS when I was younger, and I never really liked it. Maybe that was when I started hating Mr. Freeze.
Bro, that joint's hard.
Not as good as the Mask of Phantasm.
No, bro, you can't use a goated Batman film like the Phantasm and say like, of course it's not better than Sub-Zero.
When I bought that VHS,
Phantasm is one of the greatest Batman projects of all time.
Yeah, well, that was the next Batman VHS I got, and it was Sub-Zero, and I remember being like disappointed because it didn't compare to Mask of Phantasm.
Yeah, come on, you can't. Yeah, Mask is goated. I mean, we can't. Yeah, but Sub-Zero's fire is not bad, But I mean, then Arnold's Schwarzenegger as Freeze was enough for me there. That was when I was like, you know what? We don't need to see him for a long time, But I will say this: if you want to see a cool Mr. Freeze design, the animated show The Batman, which is really ironic, that Mr. Freeze design is fire, bro. That's hard.
So I actually, interestingly enough, I've been reading the new Detective Comics run,
Yeah.
and it's weird because it gets slow at times, and then sometimes it's really good, and it got slow for a bit, and Batman like kind of almost died, spoiler or whatever. But this comic's like a year old now, or at least 8 months, and Batman had like an epic comeback, like epic. It was sick, and he goes to Mr. Freeze for help, and I was like, son of a, I like this comic, and Mr. Freeze is in it. God damn it. But Mr. Freeze wasn't what made it good. Mr. Freeze came in like the last 3 pages, and the comic was sick from the beginning. So
100%. That's awesome. Okay. So now let's get into some Null stuff. So we did a video a couple days ago on Null. And a lot of people have been talking about him. And I said in the video, it's so funny with Marvel fans, so comic book movie fans in general, because you never hear about these characters until you hear one mention on X, and then everybody starts going crazy. But Noel is talked. So Sony said some things about. I think I'm lagging a little bit. Hold on.
yeah, you are.
All right, I'm back. So Sony said some things about Null, and yeah. So I'm back now.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Null co-creator Danny Cates, he said this. He says that he's been talking with Sony and praises Venom: The Last Dance script. Number one, shout out to Sony for actually involving the creators of the character. So that's awesome. And he said this. I'll say this: it is so much bigger and so much more ambitious than you can imagine. And Null, holy S word, that's how you treat a king. So I wanted to talk about the fact that that like they are hinting to that there are bigger plans for Null. So do you think there's a possible way that Null goes to the MCU?
It's interesting because Null, he existed in the void, before the Celestials shaped the universe, and he considers himself the actual ruler of space and cosmos, and he's like super opposed to any form of light creation, but he also forged the first symbiote, and he's a really interesting guy. There's like a lot of backstory to him, but he like Null is like an entity that has a lot to do with space, so maybe they could cross him over. I don't really think like it's the time to do it. Like I just don't know where he would go into the MCU. I know everyone's hyped about Null, and especially non-comic readers, they're probably learning about him for the first time, and they think it sounds really cool, and they'd be right. He is cool. I just think like we're talking about Doctor Doom and potentially having Kang and Doomsday and Secret Wars. Like, I just think the only time they could bring Null in would be Secret Wars, and I think that would be a cheap cameo type of gimmick. So I just don't think it's the right time or necessary. But if you're interested in Null and you want a good Null story, a couple years ago there was a crossover event called King in Black, and it was pretty bad A word. You're mute.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
I don't know what I think I hit the button on accident. Sorry. Yeah, because I know there's the mute joint. I think I just
yeah, because I got the same one.
Yeah, I hate that. So I think that
You put it on the other side.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna turn it. All right, that's better. I think that Null is a very powerful character, and I don't think you should dumb him down to just one film in the MCU. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that Null is such a big character that you should save him for after Secret Wars is over. I think there's a really cool setup to the symbiote stuff in general. And if you were just to throw Null in like into what we got going on right now, I think it will be a missed opportunity. And just to critique the MCU, because some of y'all say that I'm a shill, Marvel has a lot of missed opportunities that, or there are a lot of actors and characters that have been wasted in this last cycle of films. So I think that Null just being shelved and just using him in Venom and just putting Null somewhere until we can get Spider-Man to him is perfect. Now, Stevie Hayes has been reading tweets now because I want to bring some of these points to the show just so you know that I'm watching. And if you say something crazy, I'm going to bring it up. So I did hear a lot of people saying that that they think that Spider-Man fighting Null on Battle World would be super awesome, and I just don't want to see that in Secret Wars. I think that Null deserves his own story, and I think that Null would be something cool to dive into with Miles Morales and Peter Parker after Secret Wars, and with the symbiote in the MCU. Easy way to bring in Harry Osborn. Hopefully he comes in the next Spider-Man, but I mean having Harry Osborn become Venom in
I'd much
Spider-Man
rather see
5.
the Hobgoblin. I disagree.
Huh?
We need the Hobgoblin.
Did you want him as Hobby?
Yeah, bro.
Mm.
Oh, love that story. But I want to challenge you on something because
Challenge.
I love Null. I think Null is a great character. I think anyone who has experience with Null is going to love Null. And I would love to see him in the MCU. But big picture, right? Like we said earlier. So we know the mutant saga is coming from after the multiversal saga.
Okay.
And I just don't think Null has a place in the mutant saga. And this is why I also don't like when people are like, oh, well, they could, recast Kang and bring him in later. Like, what do you mean later? We don't know what's coming after the mutant saga. If you're making predictions for what's coming after the mutant saga, you're out of your mind. And I don't think Null has a place in the mutant saga, and I don't think Kang has a place in the mutant saga. And that's the problem, I think, with characters like this. So that's another thing I want to point out is like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, Sony's going to waste Null, and Sony shouldn't use Null because I don't like Sony. It's like, Sony, this is the only chance in a long time where it makes sense to have Null. So enjoy it, appreciate it. You're probably not going to see him in live action again for a very long time.
So I do want to add some pushback to that because I do agree it being the mutant saga, that doesn't mean that like there's still not going to be other stories going around that won't revolve around all mutants. Like, I mean, like there's still going to be Spider-Man films going on, and I think that like there's going to be Spider-Man films where we're not going to see a mutant, and Null, and I do see your point of like, and I do see your point of like, okay, maybe Null might not fit in the next cycle. I can get with that for sure because if the focus is, after Secret Wars, like we have to get the fans in with the X-Men. I understand, but I do think that like in the future there is a place for someone like Null to take charge in a Spider-Man story, and I honestly think that you can use Null in a really good way to send off Tom Holland's Peter. Like I think there's room for something cool like that to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that using Null could give you a symbiote story that we really haven't seen. I mean, we got a symbiote story with Tobey Spider-Man, which I think is very underrated. I think Spider-Man 3 isn't as bad as people say it is. I thought Venom was freaking awesome. I'm not gonna hold you.
The first two were just so good, and I also think it's that like dancing scene that people didn't like. But you also said that Null isn't a good villain to do a one-off movie with because it would kind of be waste. And that's where I think like, you could potentially put him in a movie. Maybe you could do a 2-movie thing if you try to stretch it. But I don't think it's likely that they'll do a 2-movie villain that's not crossing over into or has a big role with mutants. So they could do it potentially, but I don't think the one, like you said, I don't think the 1 movie villain thing with Null is ideal. But again, they did do it with Gore, and they wasted Christian Bale, so who knows?
And that's what pisses me off is like you use Null as like as freaking bait, bro. Like
You mean
I
Gore?
will never forgive Taika Waititi for that, bro. You use
Yeah.
Null as your
But you're
scapegoat.
saying no. You're talking about Gore.
No. Null's dead body was sitting there.
Oh,
Remember that?
I forgot that.
Remember that? They used
Yeah.
Null as the scapegoat to get the Necro Sword, and I will never forgive Marvel for that, bro. Honestly, I think Thor going up against Null would have been fire too. But time for another day. Like that's a missed opportunity. Not going to hold you.
That would
And
be crazy.
to be honest, Christian Bale as Null would have been way cooler than him as Gore. Just saying. Because he would have been way more powerful.
Well, he would be cool as Gore if they didn't like.
He was still cool as Gore, but
yeah, that movie was just like, you know what? The words that I want to use, I'm not gonna. Next topic.
Oh, the explosion is what you're gonna say.
Oh no, that wasn't what I was gonna say. I was not gonna say that.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about some fun news that's gonna make us happy. Okay, so one of the goats in this CBM, Mr. James McAvoy. So he has a movie that is coming out this Thursday, I think. And it's in the movie they're doing is kind of like a spooky thriller type thing. And I only know this because Shaw had Goofy did a whole press run with him on it. Also, shout out to James McAvoy for getting with Straw Hat because a lot of these guys usually go to these, big companies to run their press. Shout out to him for going to a YouTuber to run his whole entire press for that film. Shout out to him. But he did so James McAvoy said this. He said that he is open to returning to comic book films, even if it means playing a villain. He says this: if it was good writing, always. It's got to be good writing and a good character. And hear this. He said, I'm open to playing any character. So, Jerry, would you like if James McAvoy returned in comic book films? And another question I have, would you like him to return as Professor X?
He is one of the few actors that I would love to see him reprise his role as Professor X. I think he is one of the greatest castings of all time in the genre, and he is young enough to still do it. Like it's literally, you couldn't pick a better actor to play Professor X. It's perfect. Everyone already loves him. Like there's literally no reason not to. I think it would be a major missed opportunity and a major L if they cast anyone else.
I 100% agree. 100% agree. Yeah, I think that James McAvoy and Fazby, those are the guys you bring back. I mean, come on, you can't. I mean, to get two perfect castings for the same two characters twice, I don't think you're going to get that a third time. Just being honest. So I would just stick with those two, man. That would be super awesome. So yeah, I mean, and so could you see James McAvoy playing a bad guy or no?
Yeah, I could. I think he's a talented actor. I could 100% see him play a bad guy, but why do we need him to do that?
Could you see him as Dr. Fate or no?
I actually think he would be a great Dr. Fate.
Yeah, because Joe, if he could get with James Gunn, that would be something interesting too, bro. That'd be fun.
I'd rather him do Professor X again though.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I really, really want to see Fassbender play Magneto again.
Oh man, Fazby, another underrated casting that doesn't get talked about enough, bro. Like Fassbender as Magneto was something that was freaking amazing. And yeah, all right. So let's talk about Ironheart. All right. Now, this question is, could Ironheart be a banger? So Anthony Ramos, he's a up and coming actor. I think he was in Twisters, I think.
You're cutting in and out pretty bad.
How about now?
Still bad. Like your video's lagging, your audio's choppy. So Ironheart, guys.
You hear me now?
It's bad, bro.
All right, I'm about to send you over this so you can just cover it
Okay.
while I fix my internet.
If your home internet is bad and you have good cell service, you could use a hotspot if you have hotspot access on your cell plan.
Bet. All right, I just sent it to you. I'll be right back.
All right. So Anthony Ramos said, I saw a trailer at D23. It was my first time seeing it. And I'm not going to lie, just as a fan, I was like, yo, this is crazy. If this show is half as good as this trailer, we in the mix. First of all, shout out to Anthony Ramos, great actor. He was in the newest Transformers movie, not the animated one, but the Rise of the Beasts. I didn't think the movie was that great, but he did a great job. And listen, I don't hate Ironheart like everyone else. I don't really like her origin in the comics because I forget what they did. I think they like killed off Tony Stark for a bit, and they had her, they called the comic Iron Man, but it was Ironheart for like half of the run. So that was annoying. But I do think she's a cool character. I actually enjoyed her in Wakanda Forever. But above that, I like weapons development, innovation. She's a smart girl. I think the actor did a phenomenal job. I think that she, had Ironheart's personality really shine. And it's, the innovation and weapons development going back into science fiction and Marvel. Like I always say, it's all about science. I think that this could be a really good show. And especially when you compare it with some of the other bad shows that we've gotten. And, we're getting Agatha this week, which seems like it's going to be absolutely horrible. So I'm excited about Ironheart. I'm going to, go in with some not high expectations, but, expecting to enjoy it. I'm expecting to enjoy the show. I also think it's worth noting that I didn't think Echo was going to be good. I didn't think that Miss Marvel was going to be good either. And both were great. I love them both. So, listen, this show could be great. But I do think it's interesting that, I'm not going to say that, but you know what? Not. I will say it. It's interesting that I feel like most of the shows that Disney Plus has been putting out for Marvel have been, female characters. We've got She-Hulk, WandaVision, Miss Marvel, Echo, Ironheart, Agatha, and I'm sure there's a few others that are men based, but it seems like every MCU Disney Plus show has been a female character, which is crazy. But listen, is what it is. I don't have a problem with them. Listen, I love Captain Marvel. I just told you I love all those shows. So, but I do think it's interesting, and I think it's noteworthy at the very least. But yeah, I think Ironheart's going to be a good show.
At the best, it can be like Miss Marvel.
Exactly. That's kind of what I said. I didn't say that word for word, but I said I like Miss Marvel. So I have fair expectations. I think the actor did a good job. I think she did a good job. But I do think it's interesting that they the way they forced her onto readers so the same person who created Miles Morales created Ironheart. And when she made her debut, I forget exactly if they killed off Tony Stark or if he was sick or whatever, but they kind of took him out of the picture and they made Ironheart. But instead of giving Ironheart her own comic series, they continued Iron Man. They called it Iron Man. So you were buying an Iron Man book and getting an Ironheart comic. And I don't like that. I feel like that's
nasty.
You're laundering in a character. And I don't like that stuff. I don't like it's like a bait and switch. And I think it's disrespectful to the person buying the comic. And but they do that in movies and shows too. Like they called it Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness First of all, the multiverse was not mad. It was kind of it was a weak multiverse, so that title didn't make sense. And it wasn't really a Doctor Strange movie. It was an America Chavez movie. America Chavez was the one who defeated Wanda
The GOAT.
in the third act. So I'm sorry, but in a Doctor Strange movie, shouldn't he be the hero in the climax?
Bro, he is the hero. He's the one that he turns into the zombie dude and, saves America.
Well, America was the one who saved the day.
All right, I'm not going to care for this right now. I don't have the energy. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Look, I think it's a great movie. I love it, but it does have its faults. So
I thought if they had a better third act, that movie would have been a good movie.
yeah, I think it's a good movie, and it's going to be underrated in the next like 10 years. I promise. All right, now let's get to what you all been waiting for. Wait. Oh, these are both the tickers. Hold on. Okay. Now, before we get to Elizabeth Olsen, okay, I'm gonna let my co-host talk about Agatha because the Agatha show, I think it comes out. It might be out right now. I forget, or Friday, whichever one. So let's talk about Agatha. Then we'll get to Elizabeth. So I'll let Jerry talk about Agatha, and then I'll get to Miss Olsen, and we'll bring them both together and we'll talk. So Jerry, just tell me your temperature on Agatha at the moment.
First of all, I don't even like this character. I couldn't care less about Agatha. I don't understand why she's getting a show. Everyone was disappointed in WandaVision when the villain was Agatha and not Mephisto. So she was introduced as a disappointment, number one. Number two, let me look this up. Hold on. WandaVision. Let's see. I think it came out in 2020 or 2021. 2021. Okay. 3 years later. Like, the time to do this was 2 years ago because WandaVision had a lot of passionate fans. I'm not going to deny that. I was not and am not one of them, but it did have its passionate fan base. Okay. Most of those fans are not going to be as excited for Agatha as they would have been 2 years ago. People forget, attention spans are and memory is shorter and shorter, in society these days. And I think the timing for it is bad. I think the reason for it is non-existent. And, I have to say that, let's just say it nicely, a lot of the things that they're saying on the press run aren't helping their cases. They're saying a lot of things, and I'm not going to say what they're saying. You could look it up. But, that a lot, especially like one of the comments, it's just like, I have no interest in seeing what they're saying the show is. And it just makes me think it's like, there is a comment I'm going to call out. Hold on. This deserves to be called out. So
what a Locke said, right?
Yes. There's an actor named Joe Locke. And first of all, there's two things he said that I don't like. Number one is he said the MCU is for everyone. Like, bro, what do you mean the MCU is for everyone? It's always been for everyone. Like, you're acting like your show is so important and like that it makes what he's saying is the MCU is now for everyone because of our Agatha show. Like, get out of here, bro. The MCU has always been for everyone. Okay. So that's it. I drives me nuts when people say that. And it's ironic because those same people, when Elon Musk said X is now for everyone, because we know Twitter wasn't, they all deleted their Twitter apps and went to Threads. So when something really is for everyone, it seems like that's when you don't like it. Okay. So he also said Joe Locke wants his character I guess the character's name is Teen, to meet Ivan. So he goes, oh, that's who he's playing. Okay. So he says, I think Kamala Khan is a really cool character. And obviously, she's in the new Avengers comics. One problem with that. Three, actually. Well, one big one, which is Miss Marvel has never been in the new Avengers. And like, she literally has never been in the new Avengers. And I know this. I've read every new Avengers comic that there is. So he probably means the Young Avengers, which is ironic because Miss Marvel has never been in that team either. So he didn't confuse them. He is pretending he read the comics, getting stuff wrong, and going on with it. That is a disaster of a press tour. You've now disrespected the source material immensely. You've outed yourself as a poser and a fraud. And you're trying to tell us that, oh, Marvel's now for everyone because I'm here and I'm making Agatha. Bro, the MCU has literally always been for everyone. But again, you know what else is for everyone? Comics. Go read them. It'll do you well. Get out of here with this stuff. I've had it. And it reminds me of The Acolyte, because when they made The Acolyte, you know, they also said that. They said Star Wars is for everyone. Bro, Star Wars has literally always been for everyone. I don't know if you're aware, but it's like literally been one of the biggest entertainment franchises for like 60 years. Okay. So yeah, obviously Star Wars is for everyone. Like, thanks. We didn't know that. You're telling us for the first time in 2024. You know, and when they made The Acolyte, they didn't get the details right. Like, Ki-Adi-Mundi shouldn't have been in the show because he wasn't born yet. And it just seems to me like they are more focused on making sure it checks all the right boxes for their political agendas. And they're not concerned with getting the details right and respecting the source material and respecting the fans. Like, you know, obviously these universes are for everyone and they always have been. But you know who enjoys it the most? The people who really care about the source material and care about the details. So if you want to make sure that something is for everyone and everyone feels welcomed, which I think everyone always has, maybe give some respect to the fans that are the most passionate about it. Why don't you start doing that? Get out of here.
If the MCU is a fantasy world, right? Why are we putting our Earth politics in a fantasy world? If Star Wars is in a galaxy far, far away, why are we putting earthly politics into a galaxy far, far away? You know, if this was a movie about a political thriller, I get it. Look, you want to make a realistic film, go ahead, do it. I would not complain. But this is a comic book movie. It's about superheroes. We want to see cool stuff. We don't care about romances. We just want to see cool stuff.
Yeah.
And that's just where I'm at. Like, I just want to see magic and cool stuff happen. I want to see them go in the freaking I want to see what's happened to the Darkhold. There's just certain stuff that I want to know. You know, like following Doctor Strange, give us an update, and you know, it's all these comments. So there's only one cool thing that comes from this show, and two. Number one, Wanda could possibly be coming back, and two, Aubrey Plaza's character is apparently Cynthia Doom. That's those the only two things from this project that's semi cool. And what is nastier is that they're using Elizabeth Olsen as the scapegoat, because I don't know if you saw this, but she was on Fallon last night, and she's been doing a little press tour, bro. And mind you, bro, she has no project that's coming out. So it's like it feels and I might be wrong in my take, but it feels like they're using her to kind of like clean up some of that mess. They're like, okay, we're gonna grab a OG, just so you guys know, like we are still focused on the main character. So I'm just not a big fan of the PR at all. And and like for someone like me, I was low key like interested in Agatha, and the whole entire marketing just killed my vibe. I ain't gonna hold you.
And the biggest irony in all of that is that they are trying to bring Elizabeth Olsen, a high performer, everyone loves her, and a responsible actor who never ever had a misstep in the press runs, to bail out the irresponsible ones who are not going to be high performers, because this show is not going to do well. And you want to talk about reflection of America and our society, that is it to a T. It's always the responsible high performers that have to bail out the irresponsible low performers.
Yep, exactly. And it's just nasty, bro. It's just and then Feige, he wasn't even at the premiere. So it makes you think what's really going on behind the scenes. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, all in all, look, and just to tell you guys, we're going to cover the heck out of this show because because we are professionals. And as much as we really don't want to watch the show, we are going to cover it. And if it's good, we're going to say it's good. And if it's bad, we're going to say it's bad. So we're not going to do what, because I didn't want to cover the Acolyte. It was more me than Jerry loves all the smoke. You know what I mean? I didn't really want to cover the Acolyte because I was going to get mad and rage. But that will never happen again. Okay, we're going to cover the crap out of that show, and whatever happens. So that's kind of where we're at with Agatha at the moment.
By the way, on the Doom piece, I really think that including Doom or even Cynthia Von Doom is a horrible, horrible move. This show is going to be horrible. It's going to be covered in actor commentary controversy, and it's going to get absolutely destroyed on the internet, just like the Acolyte. And don't fumble Doom. Like, this show, if it has anything to do with Doctor Doom, it's going to be an L. Mark my words.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and we all knew this show wasn't going to be the best because why is Agatha getting the show? But this just made everything worse,
Yeah, exactly. I was not excited for the show. I always thought there's no reason for it. I literally couldn't care less. And then when I saw a couple of the comments that Aubrey Plaza and Joe Locke have been saying, I've just been like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Exactly, bro. And guys, just coming from where we come from an era where that stuff's not talked about on the when you're promoting your stuff. It's just not, you know what I mean? And it's just unprofessional and disgusting.
Yeah, and
yeah.
I don't appreciate the snide comments well, the MCU is for everyone. You're insulting us as if we enjoy something and we are not welcoming to other people. We've never been that way as fans. And it's like you're dissing us and you're telling us that we are hateful because it's crazy to me. And I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. And now I don't like you. I don't like people who make comments like this.
Yeah, and we have both talked about how representation matters in these films, like Black Panther, bro. That representation matters.
100%.
Even Sabra. Number one, shout out to Kevin Feige for having Sabra in this film, knowing the stuff that's going on, because representation in all culture matters, bro.
Yeah.
But there's a level where you overstep. You know what I'm saying? There's a level where you go over the line. Black Panther 1 did not go over the line. Captain America, Falcon and the Soldier went over the line in the end. There's certain lines that you just don't cross because we're in a fantasy world, bro. It's a fantasy land. So that's just where I'm just a little annoyed.
Listen, I like my politics. I'm very attentive to American and global politics. But when I'm reading comic books or watching a movie, I'm looking for an escape. I want to relax. Give me a break from that. Everything is so political and divisive all the time.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing about what Brie Larson said. And I know there's people that defend it, but even if you are someone who defends what she said, which I think is ridiculous to defend, but whatever, the one thing you can't disagree with is the fact that it's divisive. If you say, I don't care about this one group of people and what they think about my movie. And if they seem like that's divisive, you're literally making a divisive comment. Like, and I don't understand how anyone could pretend otherwise.
I mean, just compare the press runs from Deadpool and Wolverine to this. There was
100%.
no mention of politics, no mention of anything, just having fun, cracking jokes, roasting each other, keeping it apply, getting the fans involved. Like that's what press runs like, bro. Press runs are supposed to be fun, bro. Like
That's why Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman are Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman and not Joe Locke.
Bro. Even think about Kevin Hart and like The Rock. They're legends because their press runs are so funny.
Yeah,
like Kevin Hart's always roasting The Rock. The Rock's always coming at him. Like that's supposed
I
to be.
love Kevin Hart. Oh,
Yeah,
and The Rock.
him and The Rock together, bro. They're freaking hilarious. They're so funny.
They are.
But it's like that's like you can't, you that's how you're supposed to be doing these things because your job is to unite the fans because there's been so much division, right? That's the point. Because we as fans should be able to say, even though I might not agree with you in real life, let's go see freaking Deadpool and laugh and have a great time. That's what these movies are supposed to be, and that's what it was, bro. During the prime era of Marvel, everybody was enjoying it. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was having fun. During the prime era of freaking Star Wars, everybody talked about it. Everybody had fun. Everybody, like, bro, that's what these films are supposed to do. So, it's a shame that it is not representing what comics and what comic book movies are supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like I remember, so quick story. So my dad, right? So he was raised like in the hood, and he told me that he used to ride by this like neighborhood, right? And a bunch of these like kids would just throw trash at him, and it was like a race thing, going on at the time. And he said that he said that one of the first times he experienced like uniting was when he saw A New Hope.
Really?
That when he walked out of when he walked out, a bunch of kids that were not his race came up to him and they were just talking about the film. Bro, that was the first time he ever experienced a non-racist situation. That's what these films are supposed to be, bro. That's the point of these movies. And a story, and that story is almost about to make me cry. Like, just being honest, it's almost
that in Delaware,
Philly.
Wow,
it's almost moving me to tears, bro. Because it's really about me to cry. Because that's what comic book films are supposed to be, bro.
Yeah,
it's supposed to unite you. It like it doesn't matter what side you're on. Let's go watch Avengers. That's what it's supposed to be. So that's the sad part is that it kills the heart of that, bro.
That story reminds me of the story Nick Fury tells Cap in the elevator early on in Winter Soldier.
Oh yeah, when his dad walked home and had the gun. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah, bro. But crazy. But isn't that wild though? That that movie did that,
right? And that's why it's so arrogant, pretentious, and mostly condescending to say, "Oh, this is now for everyone." Like it's literally always been for everyone, and you're treating us like we love being like bigots and divisive, and it's terrible. And I think it was last week that I said, like, I didn't always think representation was a really big deal, and then my sister had told me about like young Black girls not necessarily always wanting Black dolls, and that's like a heartbreaking story to hear, and that made me realize, like, oh, okay, like I get it now, and like Sabra being in the MCU, like I care about that. I think that's important, and I think it's great, and I don't think that they should erase her Israeli identity. I think that would be horrible. And I understand that might be controversial right now for some people. Like I said what I said, and I believe that. So like, listen, I think it's bad what I don't like these divisive comments. And I am totally open to watching Agatha. I'm still going to judge it on its own merit and like everything. And I think representation is important for all people. Like I think everyone should be able to have that. Like that's important. I totally understand why. And like that includes LGBT, like that's, and that's something that I think is going to be present and prevalent in the show, like that's great. But you don't need to be condescending to the fans about it. That's all.
Yeah. 100%. So yeah, guys, that's just where we stand, man. You know, like we are very reasonable people, more reasonable than a lot, and we will deal with a lot if the story is good, because that's just who we are. We love great story.
I'd love to be surprised, like I was in Miss Marvel, and now like I literally wrote a thread about how Iman Vellani is one of the greatest castings.
We were not excited for that, bro, and we love that show. So you know,
and that girl is phenomenal. Which, by the way, it was her. I'm pretty sure it was her first acting job ever.
Yeah,
and she just like absolutely crushed it. That girl is going places. Deserves to be an A-lister. She's awesome.
Yep. Okay, let's read a couple chats. We out of here. By the way, guys, there's a little surge happening around here, so if I like etch out, I apologize. One thing that annoys me is when I see people online saying no one cared about characters like Cap, Iron Man, Thor before the MCU, so you're just hating on Agatha. Thoughts? That is such an irrelevant point, bro. That is like, whoever said that, that is one of the most irrelevant points, because Agatha, the way that Agatha entered the MCU is so much different than the way Cap and Iron Man ended up. I mean, Cap, Iron Man, and Thor had their own movies, bro. Like that was the first time we saw them. Agatha was an antagonist side character, like in the show.
Everyone didn't want him to be the villain. Everyone wanted Mephisto.
Yeah, exactly. No,
and by the way, I think Catherine Hahn did a phenomenal job.
I was awesome in the show.
Yeah, but there's a lot of actors that played characters great. That doesn't mean
the show. That's like, bro. I mean, look, Thunderbolt Ross. We all love Thunderbolt Ross. We don't have a Thunderbolt Ross movie, bro. Like, you know what I mean, like, bro, freaking Obadiah Stane in Iron Man 1. Come on now, he was fire. We don't have an Obadiah Stane film, right? And he's way cooler than Agatha. Way cooler. Read the comics. In fact, read the comics. Obadiah is a savage.
Yeah.
It's very slept on. Wonder Woman 2017 marketing is how you market it. Oh, bro. Wonder Woman is probably the best female superhero film made.
Yeah.
That movie is
amazing. By the way, I don't accept Gal Gadot's slander. She's phenomenal. She's awesome. And I want to see her. And
one of the most beautiful, and probably the most beautiful superhero of all time.
Facts.
T'Challa is the Superman to black kids. The fact the anti-recast don't see that is baffling. I think the tides are turning, bro. Just being real, man. I mean, you know, Jerry and I have been on this recast of T'Challa for like what, almost 2. Well, before him and I met, we were on that wave. I did a video on that like way before you and I met, but I know you've been on that wave just as long as I have. And I'm not gonna lie, man, on TikTok and all that stuff, I see a lot of Damson Idris, man. A lot of people want Damson Idris to play T'Challa. And if they do that, we will be in great hands. I'll say that.
That kid is a generational talent. Snowfall, amazing. Such a good show.
I actually saw the fire TikTok edit about Franklin Saint, and it was basically his dad. I think it was the cop when the cops or when the detectives first told his dad that he's like the biggest drug or cocaine dealer around, and he was like, "Not my son." I was like, "Yo, it's kind of hard."
Yo, a lot of the show has to do with the dynamic with his family, and like it is crazy. And like, you know, I sent you an edit on it recently, and
that might be the one you sent me. Then
I don't think the one I sent you was like about it. It had a song. I don't think there was like
okay
dialogue. But it was just so crazy, especially because of the ending. That show, like, oh my! I don't want to give anything away, but like, dude, that
where do you rank that in your all time?
I don't know, because I'd have to. I never like sat down and thought about all time, but it's 100% in the top 10, top 5, maybe. It's tough because there's so many good shows that like I just don't know which would make it in the top 5, but. If I had to guess what would be in the top 5, like off the bat, I would say 100% Dexter, 24. I want to put Snowfall in the top 5.
What about Power?
Power. I don't know if Power would be in the top 10, but it's definitely up there in the top 10. Sorry, it's in the top 10. I don't know about top 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bet.
Yeah.
By
the way, One of my friends from college, his dad is the producer of Power. So I knew about Power like before it started. And one of my best friends from my fraternity interned for the show when they were making it. And he was telling me all about it. So like I was hyped up for that show before.
By the way, 50 Cent is awesome. I love 50 Cent.
Bro.
Bro.
I love
he's one of my favorite celebrities, bro.
Yeah.
I love him, dude. He's awesome.
Dude, he is a savage.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I wanted this to happen, but let's just hypothetically say worst comes to worst. How would you feel if Marvel used time travel shenanigans? That is if they do that, I will riot. I will riot. That's nasty.
Yeah,
I want no to child. That's just playing around. Don't
anything other than T'Challa, not kid T'Challa. Anything other than T'Challa is it's a substitute. It's a substitution.
100%. And you want to use the multiverse to bring in everyone else? Use it for this, okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. You want to abuse the freaking multiverse? Use it for something that'll actually matter. My gosh. Exactly. Oh, geez, Louise, bro. It's funny, bro. Yeah. They want to use it on stuff that people don't like, but then some people they don't want to use it.
Yeah. By the way, I want to say one more thing about Agatha. So if you are someone that say you love these comments and you think and for whatever reason, you love the comments that these people have made. And by the way, Aubrey Plaza's, I don't think is as bad as, I actually don't really mind that one. I just know it's not going to go over well. But like the Joe Locke ones, especially, and maybe I'm talking to myself because I didn't mind the Aubrey Plaza one.
I thought it was hilarious. I'm not going to hold you.
Right. I don't mind what she said.
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza. I just know it's not going to go over well. That's all. I don't think she said anything wrong.
It was hilarious.
But what Joe Locke said, I take issue with because that I feel like you are being condescending to me as a fan. And my issue with someone who might agree with some of the things that they said and you like what they said, one thing you can't deny is that it is not going to help the show. People are going to have issues with these comments. They're going to be loud about it on social media. And that the discourse around the show could have an impact because it obviously did with The Acolyte. So even if you do like some of the things they said, you should at least be able to acknowledge that it's bad. And if you do like what they said and you are excited about the show and you really like it and you really like Agatha for whatever reason, I'm not saying you have a wrong reason, for whatever reason, you should take issue with what they're saying because it's not helping your show and it's not helping your case. And if you want to see more stuff like this in the MCU, you should want professional discourse from the stars because they're not helping. And when they go to make another show like this, they're going to say, oh, well, Agatha performed poorly. It was largely controversial on social media. We don't want to deal with something like that again. So, you know what? Let's not do it. So you got to think about that. That's all. The only things that matter are the fans that are not on the internet.
Yeah, only fans do not agree with that. But the other thing is this, right? The fans that support those fans that support this on the internet, they're not the ones watching the show. Because if that was the case, then these shows will be doing record numbers.
That's a great point.
They don't show up, bro. They don't show up.
Right.
Like they did the same thing with Birds of Prey. What happened when Birds of Prey flopped?
Oh yeah, I remember.
So these people don't show up, dude. They're all just yappers on the internet.
Yeah.
So all right, y'all. We are going to sign off today. Let me just see if Agatha dropped tonight because I've been kind of thinking about that throughout the night.
I don't think it drops today. I think it drops tomorrow.
Does Agatha come out? They're doing 2 episodes. I know that. But I was watching Brandon Davis. He said they're very slow. They're very, very slow. September 8th, which means they might be out right now. Because usually they release the 2 episodes the night before. So I'm gonna check, but regardless if it comes out today or tomorrow, Expect a Agatha episode breakdown on Thursday. All right. And then expect a Penguin breakdown, scene by scene breakdown on probably Sunday, and then we'll do our big review of Penguin and Agatha on. We're streaming next Monday, right? Or next Tuesday?
Let me see. I think
I
it
forget.
might be Monday. Hold on.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, let me double check. I always forget about these events that I have. So.
You're good, home skillet. Also, guys, by the way,
we're recording on Monday, and I think we said we're doing the Spectrum. Are we doing Spectrum? Oh no, we're doing Spectrum Cuts this week.
This Thursday we do have Spectrum. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So we will be on our other channel, Spectrum Cuts, this week. A lot of topics. We're talking James Bond, some Lord of the Rings stuff. A lot of topics going at you guys. And
We'd
then
love to have you there.
yeah, it's
Real Almighty. Hope you'll be joining us.
Facts. It's gonna be fun. And then well, I want to say I had one more thing I wanted to say. It was about I forget. But whatever. All right, y'all. We're out of here. Stay crispy. Peace.
Peace.